Hey everybody, Andrew Palhetas here, and what I want to talk to you about today is going to offend a lot of people. It's the difference between spending your money on school and higher education and spending your money on real estate investments. So I'm going to use a real life example with me. Now, when I was 21, 22 years old, I was working a corporate job. And so with that corporate job, I thought, well, maybe if I get more education, my boss will pay me more. So I went to my boss and I said, hey, listen, if I get a degree or a different education, a university degree, then will you pay me more? He says, well, I don't know, we'll have to see. Why don't we figure it out when you get that degree? So get the degree first and then we'll talk. And I didn't really like that answer. It didn't really motivate me too much. And so what I did is I actually calculated how much it would have cost to go to school. So the tuition, the books, the parking. At the time, I wouldn't have to stay on residence. I could just drive to school. So it was the tuition, the parking, and the books. And that was about $27,000. So that was the price of school that I had calculated. And so, just forgive my chicken scratch here. And so I said, okay, well, if I got $27,000 for school, what happens if I go and I take that same $27,000 and I invest it in real estate? And so the $27,000 for school equaled a question mark on how much of a raise I would get. Okay? And then I took the same $27,000 and I actually put 10% down. Now, financing was different back then. You were able to put down 10%. So I put down as my first time property. So I actually put down 10% on a $270,000 property. It's actually $262,000, but we'll call it $270,000. So I put 10% down on the $270,000 property. Now this property, I actually figured, okay, well, let's say a 5% appreciation a year. So if this property appreciates 5% a year, then that's going to be $13,500 a year. Okay, so that's what I was getting just in appreciation. And the reason I calculated that is just I took the purchase price, calculated it by 5% appreciation, and that's where I got $13,500. Now I also figured that my mortgage pay down every month would be about $1,000. So that would be $12,000 a year, right? So now I've got another pay down, we'll call it, the principal recapture. I had another $12,000 a year. Okay, so what I didn't calculate was any cash flow. So I just I wasn't sure, I was new to investing, so I just kind of took that cash flow. Now what I did is I figured I worked 40 hours a week, 50 weeks a year, so it was 2,000 hours. Okay, so I then took my $13,500 and I actually divided it by the 2,000, right? Let me move this over a little bit. So when I divide this by 2,000 hours that I had to work in a year, it actually came out to an additional $6.75 an hour. Okay. Then when I took my 12,000 and I divided it by 2,000, that was an extra $6 an hour. Right. So that total was $12.75 an hour because I was working by the hour at the time. And that was a $12.75 raise I was going to give myself every single hour. Now, this was a time where I was making about $15 an hour. So I was getting really close to doubling my income. At the time, I didn't even know about write-offs or benefits and any tax benefits and incentives. But I was making $15 an hour. All right. So I was actually able to then turn that 15 into $27.75 an hour by investing in real estate instead of investing in my own higher education. Now I know this is going to offend a lot of people, but you got to understand where I was coming from. I just gave myself an 85% raise by not going to school and not getting a higher education. So it's not necessarily for everybody, but it's definitely something to think about. Do you spend your money on higher education or do you spend your money on an investment property? So call to action today, what I'm asking you to do and what I'm challenging all of you to do is to sit down and figure out where your life is at, what your goals and priorities are. If in real estate investing is one of them, then reach out to me, reach out to my team. Let's sit down. Maybe this is for you, maybe this is not for you, but maybe you've got some numbers that have been bouncing around in your head and you've been wondering whether you should do this or that, A or B, left or right, which road to take. Don't hesitate. Reach out to me, reach out to my team, subscribe to the next Lunch and Learn. All right, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.